All right, hello, everybody. Welcome back to a Radiant Collapse. It's been a long time, but I'm finally back streaming. I'm in a new environment. You can see, well, you can kind of see, but I've got a completely new setup. I'm in a new house in a new city. So lots happened in 2022, but I'm excited to finally be streaming again. So let's do some art together. For those of you that it's your first time here, my name is Robert Connor, and this is my cyberpunk comic series called A Radiant Collapse. And I work on it live during streams. I usually like to color for streams, and that's what we're going to be working on tonight. But before that, I'm going to introduce my special guest. I am joined tonight. I'll let him introduce himself.
Oh, that's the chance. Yeah. Boo! All right. My name is Michael Butts. I am 1/3 of a retro leaning video game channel called Riff Arcade. We do streams Monday and Thursday. I do a stream myself and my lovely wife on Wednesday. We have videos that come out Monday and Wednesday and streams Wednesday and Thursday. And we do retro video games. And Robert is actually our graphic designer for our stuff. I guess you can flip it around and say, like, we're your video game channel for Radiant Collapse.
Yeah, it works both ways, and I like that partnership.
Yeah, you can flip it around. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. So this is Robert's stream. He has graciously let me come on and be the absolute rube on here because I am not an artist at all. I have no idea what is going on. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, so I want to start having more guests on and stuff, and so I was super excited that this worked out. My friends at Riff Arcade, we've been kind of doing the digital entertainment thing together in different ways and bouncing ideas off each other, so it's fun to have that kind of partnership and those kind of people. I love collaboration, so yeah, it's been cool, and it's great to have you on tonight, Butts.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Rush Fan says welcome back.
Hey, Rush fan, you made it. Glad you made the transition to Monday. Glad to see you on. Yeah, I was
I
telling
know.
Butts.
I'm so glad you switched to Monday because when you were streaming on Tuesday, I have band practice that night, and I could never make it. Although there was a couple times I made it where I was like streaming from the band room, so I'm glad I don't have to have that conflict
We'll see
anymore.
how this goes. Monday's working better for us. My wife and I were kind of discussing schedules over New Year's and plans and goals and stuff, and this worked better for us, and so I hope that it's going to be a good switch. So I like that it's early in the week. I have plenty of energy. Sometimes towards the end of the week I get exhausted. So yeah, it's first off, y'all get my best. So we were Butts and I were just talking before the stream, talking about Rush Fan coming on. I'm glad to have someone here because I was joking with him. I was like, this is going to be the most well-prepared stream that no one's going to attend. As I've prepped for this, and I've got a plan, and I've got things that we're going to be doing. So I'm excited that the people are showing up. But
yes, I have questions too.
Yes, please. This is an AMA stream. All of my streams are. So I do a lot better if you ask me questions about what I'm doing. So feel free to throw those questions in the chat, and I will answer them. I'll explain what I'm doing. I'll try to just kind of keep a stream of consciousness about what I'm doing anyway, but if there's anything specific you're interested in, please ask, and I will go into more detail about that. So what I'm starting with here, if you've read Radiant Collapse Chapter 1, which, quick plug, is now available for purchase online, go to radiantcollapse.com and you can buy one for yourself. That is live. And we've got the collector's edition on there too. So if you haven't read issue 1, I encourage you to go check it out.
You should do that.
But this is chapter 2. So I'm working on chapter 2 now. And so chapter 1 took place completely at night. And so chapter 2, some of the events happen the next morning. So I'm having to deal with the lighting environment for the next morning. So each time I create like a new scene that has a new lighting environment, I have to kind of play with how's this look on things that we're familiar with before. The characters' skin tones, how do they look in this kind of light versus the, street lights, or like in the club, they're in these different places, kind of nighttime environments last time. So now they're outside. The tricky part is, and I make things difficult to myself. They are on a planet with a red sun. So the light is different than what we experience with, I think, a yellow sun. Our sun is like a whatever class they call it, but it's yellow light.
Yeah.
So we consider that normal, but there's actually all kinds of spectrums of suns out there. So Tempo has a red sun, and so I'm taking a little bit of artistic liberty with that, mainly just because I want to make pretty sunset environments. If a planet was really under the light of a red sun, everything would be like almost pitch black all the time. Like it would just be like noon would look like right before the sun sets here. Like the light is just like really dim
Yeah, that's
amidst from
true.
those kind of a world. So I just want to play with that a little bit and make it kind of like a permanent sunset. And so that's kind of what I'm going for. And so what I'm having to do is trying to figure out, what does Roz's skin look like in that light? What does her hair look like in that light? What are these colors of her clothes look like in that light? I had a sketch on one of my other pages, but it's not this one. So I did some sketching over the weekend, some color sketching for a little bit, and I arrived at what I did a sketch for the front and for the rear. And this scene, she's going to be lit from the rear, so it's going to be this one. And so what I'm basically going to be doing is now taking this sketch and making like a refined, like a finished coloring version of that. And just to look at that and see, like, do I like this? Does it look natural? Does it look well lit? And if it does, then I can sample those colors and use that lighting scheme for every other scene that's in this kind of light. So that's what we're going to be starting with, just doing some coloring.
Is that your process for like, okay, let me see how this looks. Okay, that looks good. Or do you come in with a plan of, like you said, you know that you're going to get red light. Does that like chop out some, like, okay, I'm not going to put a lot of blues in here? Or do you just try everything and find something you're like, yeah, that looks good, and move on?
Yeah, so what I usually start with, so I know what colors they are normally. Like I have my character sketches for like here's what they look like under like fluorescent normal light. And so I'll start with that, and then I'll use my color wheel, and okay, I know that they're in more of a reddish light, so this is going to be tinted more towards the yellow. So I can like, sample what I would normally have and then kind of, tint it more that way. I know if I need to decrease the saturation, go that way, increase it, go that way. So like just kind of knowing colors from being a designer, I can know how to like start somewhere and move it to where I want it to be. And then other than that, it's just kind of trial and error, just seeing what looks natural. And that's just a lot of experimentation. So it took me a couple hours playing around with these colors before. I'll show you kind of where I came from. I'll show you some of these other ones. So before I arrived at that, I had these other versions.
Oy.
So I kind of go back in time. That one, this was a little like too red for me. That one was pretty close to the final one. I started off with the... Oh, I have this on top of everything. That would help if I did do that.
Ooh,
yeah, so this was a little too... I liked it, but it was a little too light. I feel like it wasn't realistic with her being backlit. It would have to be like more shadows. This is a front light. I did the same lighting environment from the front and the back just to kind of test it. This one was getting closer to what I ended up having. I think I just adjusted I made it a little warmer here. This was the original one, which was just like way too washed out. Like that's just not like enough color at all.
Yeah, that's too orangey.
Yeah, like she just looks pretty much like the background. So, arrived at like that, and we're gonna see how it works.
That must be helpful to have all those layers you can turn on and off.
Yes, I am the biggest fan of layers. I can't live without them.
That was one of the questions I had, was like, how has you've been doing this comic, working on it since like college? Like, how has technology made it easier to draw and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'll praise my favorite program, Clip Studio Paint, that I'm using, which has made my life so much easier. So instead of having to, and I can demonstrate this right now, instead of having to like come in here and just like color like traditionally, Clip Studio Paint has a way with the fill bucket to like intelligently tell where it like fills in a loop. Like see this, I painted this line here, so it knows like, okay, that's a boundary and these other lines are boundaries. So I click there and it just colors everything inside those boundaries. Now these little areas,
is it like MS Paint?
yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's just like click for paint. So as
It's
long
literally
as
the only art print software that I know of.
yeah, so it's that has like revolutionized my coloring. It just saves a ton of time. Yeah.
In the old days, would you have to like color it in and then be like, no, I don't like the color, and then erase
It'd
it?
be this for hours, which is therapeutic, but not great for efficiency. See, I can just do this like with her hair. I can just literally like drag and like, as long as you'll tell when I didn't close something because it just will like leak out into the background.
Oh, okay.
And what I should be doing right now, I should just turn these off because then it should be like really easy just to come in here.
Oh boy, yeah, that is easy.
That, yeah. Now see, it's missing some spots. Yep. Oh, that is hair.
Yeah, it missed on her eyebrow.
Yeah, and these like these little specks here, and so you know it's not perfect. You have to come in and touch up that stuff. I think that's actually.
She's got brown hair. Okay. I don't know why I thought she didn't have brown hair, but there you go.
She does have brown hair, yeah.
Will it color in like stuff you've already colored? Like if you have an errant click, will it be like oh crap?
I don't want this color. I want it to be that color. Yeah, you can change it. So that's really helpful too when you're like playing around with stuff and you want to try a bunch of different things.
That'd be easier than erasing it and then coloring it back in.
Oh yeah, no, that's probably been the biggest help, technology-wise. And that and getting a critique.
Has there been anything that you were like, oh, this will be a big help, and then when you tried it, you were like, yeah, it's not as great as like it's not as cut out as I thought it would be?
That's a good question.
Like overhyped. Like,
like
oh, that's not as big of an impression.
I feel like there definitely was. I can't think of it offhand though. I'll try to keep that in the back of my mind and bring that up again. I got to get rid of these sketches because they're going to mess up that algorithm of it'll like see that sketch line as a boundary too, and I don't want that.
Okay.
Okay, here's another thing that I always like to tell everyone: if you're an artist, never color on a white background because it completely takes you out of your lighting environment. Some people say to sketch on gray, like a neutral gray, which is okay, but I think better is to sketch on top of your lighting environment. Like see like the whites in her eyes, how wrong it looks like this, like oh gosh, it's like brown, like that's not right. But once you put the background in there, then that looks right. That looks like, you know, an orange light is casting onto her eyes. So your brain can get tricked if you're going to color on a bright white like this because it's not accurate. She's not in like a completely bright lit up room where you can't see anything. If she was, this would be correct, but that's almost never going to be the case. So always put your colors that you're working on. That way you can kind of tell if you're right or not.
Okay, so if it's like the sun is red, so you put her on like a reddish background, so you can kind of be like, oh, this is how it'll stand. Okay, that makes sense. The only fact like that I know is that you remember the old Batman animated series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this works or why, but apparently instead of on white paper, they drew all of the art and stuff on black paper, and that's why everything like stands out and looks really different.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know how or why that works, but like all of the places that you see facts about that show talk about it.
That's interesting.
So I'm just like, oh, I guess that does something. Okay.
I bet that's the same concept. They're going for probably like a dark atmosphere. Like you're probably almost always going to be at night in a Batman show, and so that probably helped everything like
Hooray.
blend into that environment better.
I just finished Batman Arkham City the other day. I've got Arkham Knight. Yeah. So there's the Arkham trilogy. Well, there's more than one Arkham. There's like 4 Arkham games, and I'm just doing the 3 that Kevin Conroy voiced. Oh. So I got one more to go. I flew through it. Like I just did the main storyline.
Mhm.
Like I didn't do any of the side quests or anything like that. So like I kind of feel a little weird about it, but I'm also like that was good. It was good to get the story done.
Yeah, sometimes I can get like bogged down in side quests and like trying to like 100% a game, and then I'll never finish it. So
Yeah.
kudos for finishing.
Yeah, I did. Well, I as I'm getting older and have less time to play, I find that like I used to be like, no, you always play it on normal mode. Like that's what you developers want. And now I'm like, I'm gonna throw it on easy mode.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to
Yeah.
sit here. Like I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and what did I 100%? I 100%ed something on that game. It wasn't all the quests, and there was some kind of like big quest about like find all these things, and I 100%ed it.
Oh, wow.
And I unlocked all the map, and I really put a lot of time into that game, and I was like, I cannot do this again. I do not have time for this. Because it took me like 9 months to do it, because I would only play for like an hour or two every couple days. So I was like, okay, we got to redo this.
Yeah, that's what little known fact, that's what killed Metroid Prime for me. I had heard if you got 100% scans, you got some kind of like image gallery or something. And I'm a sucker for like art stuff. And so I was like, I'm gonna get all these scans, and like every room I'd walk into, I'd like scan, like I was a scanning fool, and I was scanning every single thing. And then I'm like, this is boring. I hate this.
don't say that about. I love Metroid Prime. It's one of my favorite.
It's a great game. The other thing that got me to quit playing Metroid Prime is that I started playing Final Fantasy VII. So you can't.
Oh, there you go. there's talk about side quests. Yeah, you went from one of my favorite games to one of Josh's favorite games. There you go. No, I played Metroid Prime like 6 or 7 times in college. Like I played it so much. I love that game. But like I get it. Now I'm like, I can't put 60, 70 hours. Like I just want, just give me 20 hours, really good story, good mechanics. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, that trying to think. Is anyone wearing anything with a zipper? I think this is part of the fabric. Look up zippers.
Oh yeah, like the little mountain range on either side of the zipper. Yeah. I don't know what it's called.
I'm gonna go with mountain range. Yeah, so that's like the fabric. Okay, cool.
The official term.
This is the little diversions that you don't think of when you're making a comic. They're like, oh.
So here's a question. So when do you know like, okay, that's enough detail on this thing, I could move on to something else? Or do you not? You just like, I just have to move on.
I think I need to hire someone that tells me when to do that. Because I'm always like
hire me.
100% details. I go way overboard on details, which I think is one of the like part of the charm of Radiant Collapse. But it also makes me take like over a year to produce an issue.
Yeah, I cannot spend 3 hours on this zipper. Like you just can't do it.
Yeah. You do so many things that you don't think that you'll be doing. I'm a fashion designer. I designed this clothing that she's wearing. You're like a weapons designer. This is based off of a real gun, so I got like halfway there, but I modified it, and it's gonna have like a holographic sight on it.
Oh, nice.
I designed her earring. Today on my lunch break, I designed a texting interface. Because I wanted it to look like it belonged in the world. So it's just you get down these little rabbit holes of things that you don't think that you'll be doing.
Yeah, you're probably on a watch list at this point.
Oh, for my search history?
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, I'm sure for
this guy's searching clothing and guns and.
Absolutely, yep. I've searched like bombs, like for chapter 1 when Mr. B's carrying the bomb, like like C4 explosives, like wreckage.
How to blow up a building? Yeah,
it's like blown up cities.
Yeah. Oh, the FBI's watching you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on their list for a long time. So now I've got to I kind of screwed this up because I put the hair on the eye layer.
Hair's kind of wobbly there, is there? You're colored outside the lines. What's up with that?
Oh, well, yeah, that's the sketch. The sketch is still there. Because I need to refer to it in a second, but I messed up my eye layer. So I think it's easier just to get rid of this and make a new layer with that. It's important that that's on a separate layer, and I'll show you why. Because of
The
how
eye
I
color?
do my eyes. Yeah, so the eye, like whites of her eyes, I put that on a layer that's above the other art. But I accidentally colored her hair on that, so now her hair is like above everything, and that's not helpful.
What is the white called? What's the white
there? And grab that color again. Okay, so now this is the new eye background layer. I also got a mechanical keyboard for my birthday, and so it's probably very loud. So let me know in the chat if that's annoying. Because
is it clicky?
Yeah, it's clickety clickety. Which is very sad. I've never had a mechanical keyboard before. I've always wanted to try it, but I've been like kind of apprehensive to like, because they're usually expensive, and I didn't want to like drop the money on them if I didn't like how it felt. But then Amalia's cousin was spending Christmas with us, like unexpectedly gave me one for my birthday, and I was like, oh wow. So it was like the perfect chance to try one out, and I really like it. It's really satisfying to type on.
I was about to say, it probably feels really good, just
Feels
like hear
great,
that click.
yes.
Yeah.
It's very
tactile,
satisfying.
click, click, click.
Yes. But it may be very annoying to the audience, so y'all let me know if it's like super loud in stream. Because my mic, this other thing, my mic just picks up like, it's like, I think the wrong mic for streaming, because it just picks up like, it's omnidirectional or whatever. It picks up like every sound anywhere.
Oh, you should get into Streamlabs and put up like a noise gate or something like that.
What? You could do that?
Yeah, like it'll filter out it, like the microphone won't pick up certain like noises under a certain decibel.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Okay.
Like that's what I'm not a sound guy, but like I've learned up a couple tricks like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now
Which like I've got 2 dogs. I have to know tricks like that. You're gonna hear like clinkety 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 as they walk around.
I've got to figure out where the highlights go now. So it's coming from behind her, and so it's kind of like an edge light, but you don't want to make the hair look flat, so that's the danger here. Shading is actually one of my weak points, because like I don't know how the 3rd dimension works, so anything that's like
Oh, good.
Speaking of like, so I have a new setup here. I was mentioning to Butts a little bit before the stream started, and I've got my 3rd monitor, which is where I put like Streamlabs and everything. Oh, what? We got a spam bot, ladies and gentlemen. Spam
I saw
bot.
that. Yeah.
We celebrate the
gonna
spam
ignore that
bots
one.
every time they come to visit.
Oh, good. There you go. I love how he said go to Doge Hype, but not dot, but he typed out the word .com.
Yeah, because he already knows that we onto him. If we
Very nice. If you search for .com, yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's like, I know they're gonna block me for putting this website.
Man
I
without
have to have
name.
a quick aside. I don't know if I told you this story. I probably did, because it's
Go ahead.
one of my favorite streaming stories ever. But for anyone who's new in the chat, and for Mr. Man Without a Name 1VVV, if you're there, which I know you're not because you're a robot, you can listen to this story about your fellow spam bot. So
let him know.
I was, and I think I have this as a VOD on my channel, but if not, I need to, because it's like my favorite thing that's ever happened on a stream. So I was talking, doing my thing where I narrate what I'm doing, and then this spam message comes on. It was like this. It was huge, but it was like twice this size, and I'm like, what is this? And I just completely stopped and read it, because it was a short story about Viagra, but it was like a fantasy. I don't know. It was insane. It was just like, it was a whole narrative, but it was an advertisement for like some kind of pill. And I just stopped everything and read it aloud, because it was the funniest thing that I've ever seen.
Nice.
So good.
Was it grammatically like was it bad
decent.
grammar, or
it didn't seem like a bad grammar or anything like that. It was a well-written semi short story.
It's like, oh, we're doing this now. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to, if creativity, I applaud it in all
They put the time
forms.
into it for the
Yeah,
for the bots.
they they put the thought into that.
Good for you, bots.
Yeah.
All right, so you're working on shading and stuff. You got the lighting's backlit. You're looking at raws from the front. So here's another question I thought of. How do you know? Kind of the best way I can describe it is, how do you know where the camera is going to be on the comic? Like, how do you know where this is where I want the audience to see this scene from?
Yeah, so that's all in the storyboarding phase. So before I start any of this, I spend a lot of time normally in coffee shops. That's like a really good energy for storyboards for me. And I always read a lot of comics when I'm in storyboarding mode, so I can like absorb what other people are doing in terms of like choices of like panel designs and like how they crop it, and how they
Crop, yeah.
how they choose to make those same decisions. So yeah, I during the storyboard I have my script, so that's all done, and then I figure out page by page like what's the best way to arrange this on the page, like what's the best use of this space, like what's the most important scene in this page that needs to be the biggest, like what camera angle would be the most beneficial, who needs to be like off camera, who needs to be on camera, like do we need to be in front of her, behind her, like this scene in particular. I'll turn the sketch back on so you can see like kind of everything else that's going on. So in this scene I wanted to kind of give the environment. So I'm doing like a kind of an extreme perspective here. The buildings will kind of curve up in distortion. I wanted to show the sun. I wanted to show a lot of the lighting, and have you kind of looking up at Roz. So you get to see the people that she's around, but her whole environment is kind of like a wide angle distortion.
Like a fishbowl.
Yeah, and then so I've got an establishing shot here, which kind of shows, the scene that they're in. This is the start of the scene here. It's always good to start with an establishing shot so you know where you are. So establishing shot, then showing the environment in terms of the lighting. I forget what I'm putting here because I don't have my sketch turned on. And then some details. We show some shady people hanging out in the shadows. And then there's a big reveal here of where they're heading to.
That crow in the foreground there is a nice touch.
Yeah, yeah. It's always good
just
to,
I'll just throw a bird in there.
Yeah, if you notice, like I was watching I think, was it Disney's Mulan? I was watching something recently and I saw, no, it was a Polar Express. We were watching it for Christmas. And I don't know how I mix those two up. But like,
Those are two very different
whenever you've got like a wide expanse, like a really like wide shot, it's you'll commonly see them put something in the foreground just to like give it a sense of scale. So I did that here because I've got kind of like a distance shot where you're looking at these guys, but this crow kind of frames it all up here. If that wasn't there and there's just this rooftop here, it would just seem kind of empty. This kind of anchors everything and gives you a sense of how small they are, down there, how far it is.
Oh, okay. So like we kind of know how big a crow is. You can.
Yeah, exactly.
We know how big people are.
Pretty far down. And the scene in Polar Express is when they enter like the Christmas town or whatever, and it's like this huge like expanse, and the train's like really small down there, and then they've got like a clock tower like right in the edge of your scene right there that kind of anchors everything. And I was like, oh, look at that.
Now make it a crow. Now we're talking.
All right, let me hide the sketch so I can look at that hair. That's pretty good. It's always good to kind of like a way that you can make, and this is one thing that I learned recently. So if you just entirely highlight the edges, the hair can look really flat, but it's good to come in a little bit. So like I highlighted this strand of hair here, which gives it more of a three-dimensional look, because some of that light's gonna in real life kind of bounce around, and it would highlight some other strands of her hair, not just the ones on the side. Because if it were a flat thing, it's only gonna get highlighted on the side, but if it's got volume, you know, some of those things in the front are gonna catch the light too. So that's a way to help, you know, make things like hair look more three-dimensional. Now I'm trying to think if I should add any other highlights like on these strands. They might be too far in the front though, so I'm gonna leave it like this for right now. And I'll move on to her highlight. I'm gonna move on to her skin.
So here's okay. Since we're talking about highlights and stuff, another question I had was, what is your like philosophy on like color schemes and how to show like shapes of stuff with color?
With color, interesting. That's a good question. I don't know if I treat color that way.
Oh, okay.
I may be misunderstanding the question though. Like I'll show three-dimensionality in terms of like where I shade, but it's not really like the color that's making the three-dimensionality. I may be misunderstanding your question.
I guess I'm just like, how do you approach color? Because you said like, oh, you could show volume and 3 dimensions with some highlights, and you do the highlight with color.
Yeah. So,
but like you said, like I don't think of color that way. So let's broaden it out. How do you think of color?
Yeah. So I think the distinction there is like, this is like, even if this were a black and white piece, like I would do the same thing with these color to show highlights. So it's not like, I was thinking like the hue, like, do I make this more purple or more, you know, blue or more orange? Like that's not going to affect how something looks three-dimensional, but it's where you place those tones, no matter what tone they are, if that makes sense.
Sort of. like I'm like, oh, you put a color there and it makes it look like it's 3D.
Yeah, so it's not like, it doesn't matter what color it is. It matters, the color needs to be accurate for it to look realistic in the lighting environment, but the type of color is not what's going to make it look three-dimensional or not. Like I could change this to a yellow or
to a green
purple
or something,
or whatever, and that's just going to change how the lighting looks. It's not going to make it, like, the accuracy of where these lines are, that's what's going to make it look real or fake. Like if I, you know, this here, it looks kind of bad, so I'm going to make it less, and that's going to look more realistic.
Ah, okay. There you go. So it's the lines that are doing it. Okay.
Yeah, it's the placement that's key.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just like, yeah, looks 3D to me.
If you try to do that trick when something's underneath it, it gets confused. So it's best to do that little fill-in trick when there's nothing behind it. So I'll sketch it out, and then I'll hide the other layers to do the paste. I've got like 3 drinks here tonight because I didn't know what I should drink. So I've got a Baja Blast, I've got some cranberry juice, and then I was like, oh, maybe I need to drink something warm. And I have some tea.
Oh, I've got Baja Blast. That's good segue. So I got a fun question too. Which would you choose? You have to choose one of these two situations.
I love
Which are you going with? Are you going to? Would you rather double the price of all Taco Bell items?
Oh gosh, that's already happened.
Or
that's happened.
Oh yeah. So they're double where they are now.
Oh gosh.
Or you have to get rid of Baja Blast
forever.
No more at Taco Bell.
Double the price.
Okay.
I just go less often rather than I can never have Baja Blast again. That's terrible.
What about triple the price?
Oof. But I can never have Baja Blast again.
I know. Yeah. This is why it's hard. There's got to be a number where you're like, all right, I'll get rid of Baja Blast. Although is Baja Blast like that's foundational? Like you'd rather not go to Taco Bell than not have it?
I love Baja Blast. I get it every time I go to Taco Bell. That's half the reason I go. Man,
I know.
Tough. That is tough. That's a tough situation. I don't know if I like it.
Sounds like you went to Taco Bell recently. It's the only way you get Baja Blast.
I went to Taco Bell today. That's where the Baja Blast came from.
I went Sunday, and I had some leftover. So I was rocking
how's
that
that
today.
work out? I don't know how I feel about leftover Taco Bell. Is it good?
It's fine. It's better. It's better than you think it would be.
Okay.
Like I always order way too much just for that reason, so I can be like, oh, cool, I got a meal later. It's not as good, but it's not like I'd rather eat leftover Taco Bell than leftover like McDonald's or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just leftover fast food in general. Like,
Yeah, it's like, with the exception of Chinese food, it's the best leftover
yeah.
fast food.
Yeah, Chinese food is just excellent. That's
It sure is.
trying to do that same.
That's my. I think everyone has that one food type that they're like ravenous for, and that's mine. Like I will eat Chinese food. I'm still kind of picky when I eat, but like if I find a Chinese food I like, I'm like, yes, give me all of that.
What's your go-to menu item at a Chinese takeout?
Oh, like my. Let me try to see how good they are. Mongolian beef.
Okay, okay.
Love Mongolian beef.
I'm really basic. I always get like a General Tso's chicken.
I had nothing wrong with that. Mongolian beef, not from Mongolia.
Yeah, probably not.
We should have figured that. I mean, yeah, you saw me destroy Iron Age the other day, so
Yeah.
I know. Korean and China are very different. Their food is very vastly different, but it's still like really good. So I was like, oh my god, this is great. So I went Chinese food mode on it. Just ate as much as I could.
So this is where I need to hire you to be like, okay, stop, because I'm like, oh, does this lighting look right?
I like, but I don't know. I'm just like, is it done? I don't know.
As I'm trying to experiment with that new thing that I learned where I bounce the light into places that I would normally not think it's gonna be. But if you mess that up and do it too much, then it looks like it's not lit at all. Like, so I think this might have to get connected over here. We're gonna try that out.
Yeah, like I don't know how to. I don't know when it's like, it's good enough. Look at like, because I don't know when it would look good. Because I can't draw with this.
Okay, we're gonna do some light here. These are sticking up, so they'll probably catch some light too.
That's just a talent that passed me right by. I got a friend in high school that was not an artist, but like he drew a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always like, I have no idea how you do this, man. Like, he'll just be like, I'm just gonna draw this.
Yeah, that was me in high school. I was the drawing kid.
Yeah. Like that's I respect that because I respect the fact that an artist can just go, you know what? I want to draw a picture of Venom fighting Dolly Parton, and they could just do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's so cool. Just be like, yeah, I want to make this, and they could just make it.
That's fun. That's the fun of art.
Also, that's a free one you can use. Venom fighting Dolly Parton.
I know I told you to hide the other layer, but sometimes it's quicker not to. Or it might not actually be quicker. Ah, crap.
Or your sketch.
Freaking layer.
Did you just draw something on a layer you weren't supposed to?
Yeah. I'm on the flat layer. I'm supposed to be on the highlights. Not terrible, but it's unorganized. Like being able to hide the highlights.
So what's the difference between those two layers, the highlights versus the flat?
Nothing's different. They're just separate, and I like to keep them separate because then I can manipulate only the highlights if I need to. Like, oh, these are too strong. Let me just bring all these down a little bit. I can do that.
Okay.
But if they're all together, then you've got to like, you have the whole thing that you have to work on.
Like there's so much going on your screen right now. Like I'm terrible. I'm not an artist and I'm terrible with technology. So I'm just like overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, there's so many options and stuff to do. I'm still trying to figure out email sometimes. And I'm just like, what's going on?
This would be in shadow a little bit, so I'm trying to replicate that. And see, when something's completely backlit, I think it would get lit from the other side too, but it's also coming from the top, so I think I'm just gonna not do that because sometimes that can look really like
Curving around.
fake. Yeah, it can make it look really flat if you do it from both sides. Like it's very particular. And see, I can easily like erase it since this is on another layer without having to like color more brown in as an eraser.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
You're just
decide a
erasing that
color for
layer.
this. I need a highlight color for this. So this is gonna be. And there's like a completely other way to do highlights and shadows, which I do sometimes, but sometimes I just do it like this, where I color what I think. Like so you could make a highlight layer and you could set the blending mode and you could choose a color that looks like it's like a lighter neutral, and then it kind of looks like this. But sometimes I do it like this because I have more control to like make certain things look brighter or darker. I don't know which is really correct, but those are two different ways to do it. So I'm making this lighter and then I'm making it redder, and then I'm gonna see if that looks good.
What are you making?
So this is the highlight
redder?
for her strap.
Okay.
Probably something like that. Be a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
It actually probably needs to be like a
Highlight.
lighter. That's too much. Oh, I think that'll work. The nice thing about when you do the other version is that you don't have to think about stuff like that. You just make one color and then it works for everything.
This is the trial and error part.
Yeah. Just trial and error. Let's see. I gotta paint her nails. Which I want like not an outlandish color, just I want it to be like slightly.
Would she paint her nails? Is she a nail painter or like me?
Roz, like I always like she's kind of a tomboy but a little bit girly at the same time. So like her nail color would be that'd probably even be too much. Like it would just be slightly like a very light pink. Like all of her, if you notice, all of her like GUIs and stuff on her like software are pink. Like she's got pink highlights on stuff. So like she's really kind of like rough and tumble, like tomboyish, but I wanted to give a little bit of like femininity. So I've given her like a love of pink just to kind of balance everything.
Like it leaks out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like her? Would that be a color theme for her?
Yes,
like,
yes.
And I
talking about making things complicated. I have color themes for all of my characters.
No, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so like she's got her own set of colors. Like the Kunrix has its own set of colors. Like the government has its own set of colors. Ken doesn't really have, like he has a little bit of a color scheme just like in his clothes, but he doesn't really have like technology he uses and stuff. He's kind of like a low-tech person, and so I don't have as much of like a color scheme for him. There's like an organization you'll meet in the future, like they have a color scheme, still working on that. But you can bring those colors into people who are like associated with it. Ghoul, oops, you're not supposed to know who that is yet, but you do see him in the first chapter. He has a color scheme. Yeah, I mean,
you're working with a visual media. You might as well use colors for stuff.
So here's where I can just click and like make that change. It does like expand it a little bit more. It's like way more yellow. Too much.
Going yellow.
Yeah.
So here's all right. Speaking of themes, this question is either going to make you go, "Oh my god, this is great," or you're just going to go like, "Oh, I don't know," and that's it. If each character had a theme song or a favorite band, what would it be?
Interesting. That's very interesting. That's
good,
the kind
first
of stuff
option.
that is good to think about when you're doing character design. It'll help make your characters more realistic if you know like their favorite song. Like in writing workshops, they tell you to like think about that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, look at that. I did the thing. Didn't know it.
So let's see. I feel like Faraz would be something, maybe even like metal or something. Like I feel like she would have something a little like rough, or maybe even like hip hop, or like some kind of like urban street music. Mr. B would probably be like anarcho punk.
Oh, and narco punk. Oh lord. Yeah. Okay. Scans.
Ken would probably be like oldies, or like, you know, just something like really chill. I feel like he has enough stress that he would want something like very soothing. So, no. I feel like parts of this should be slightly different color.
Well, you could make it. Oh, you're going with the gun now. Okay.
Yeah.
A gun.
Keep this a gun. I already did that. Nice. Yeah, like that. I'll do that there and there. Oh, we got a little line here that's a little runaway line. There it is. I feel like I'm missing something.
I don't know.
I feel like I'm missing.
Oh, there's a bunch of lines there now. Oh wow, there's a lot of lines now.
Yeah. I think it's fine. I think this is that. This is that. I'll do that there. Do these. Doop, 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 doop,
Yep.
doop. Bingo. Oh, oh, oh. Wrong, wrong, wrong. On the wrong layer. On the freaking line layer.
Oh, things are moving.
Okay. Yep. I went to that layer to erase that thing, and I didn't go back. That's a classic mistake. I do that often. It's one of the most frustrating things. Glad I caught it though. You could tell because when I do this automatic thing, if I'm on the same layer as that item, it'll kind of like bleed into the line, which you don't want. So you always want to have a separate, if nothing else, you want a separate layer for your colors as your lines, and your colors are going to go underneath your lines.
Oh, so you kind of use the lines to border the colors.
Exactly. And that's how you can do that trick. If you didn't have lines, you couldn't do that trick. All right, so let's see. Now I got to kind of color this in, because now I've got her messy like sketch in there, but I want to.
Yeah, I was about to say some kind of blurry.
I want to be able to see that background. I'm still kind of iffy on. Where's my other thing? This one. That's what I want the sun to look like. Let's see. Let's see if I can
Sorts of crazy layers.
brush this in.
Oh, there you go. You're erasing. That's so cool. You're gonna erase something, but it doesn't erase everything.
Yeah, so I'm kind of manually painting in this gradient here. And I sketched in those buildings, and I made a copy of that so I can still reference those colors. But right now this is just going to be the actual background, so I don't want those buildings there.
You're gonna put the background like under the buildings, or?
Yes. So I'll draw the buildings back later, but right now we're just putting the color here.
You're going manual. So what's the difference between, you just erased all of that. What's the difference between just like everything on the back of that layer is just going to be a yellowy color? Like you can't just like dump a paint bucket and make it yellow.
Well, because it's like I'm kind of making a gradient from this color down to, from this like reddish to this orange, this like melon kind of color, then down to the like goldenrod down here. So if I just did a paint bucket, it would just be a flat color.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I can make a gradient
Okay.
and do the same thing, but I'm just doing this one manually because I think it's going to be easier to get this kind of like radial color that I want.
Can you, once you get the background color, can you like copy and paste that color to each scene, or do you have to
Yeah, so I can
recreate
do
it?
what's called an eyedropper, or just hold down Alt, and you can do it while you have a paintbrush, and you can sample, any color. I want this red, now I got it. I want this yellow, I got it. So yes, so that's why you do a lot of work up front to establish the lighting environment, and then it's a lot easier the next time because I can just literally like copy the skin tone and then fill it in using that trick.
Okay.
I still don't like these straps. These straps don't look right. They need to be like brighter. Ah, there we go. That looks better. Cool. All right, so yeah, so that's Roz in that lighting. So
Right.
adjust this background a little bit. Where is this? This is the name this so I know which one I'm working with. I'm going to tone down some of that yellow a little bit. No, you'll
Orangey.
probably not even see any of this because it's going to.
I cannot like I don't have the eye for that. So you're like, I'm doing this, and I'm like, you sure are. Yeah. Like I
You sure
no
are.
idea. I cannot pick out the difference in that. I'm not saying you're not. I'm just like I can't see it.
All right, let's put that sketch back in there.
It's like, when you go to Best Buy and they're like, check out this new TV. Look at the difference. And like you can't tell a difference. Like I assume there is a difference. I just can't. I don't have the eye for it. So that's the same thing. I'm just like
Yep.
I can't tell it's being changed. But I'm sure some of your other artists, your fellow artists, would be like, "Oh yeah, look at that."
Now this is the part where I'm staring at this to see if I like it or not. I feel like it's like a little too dark. So this is where I can isolate this. That's too much. Oops.
So this leads to a question I had. So you're looking at this picture to figure out, like, does it look good? You're kind of judging it. Do you have an idea of like, okay, this is what I want this to kind of look like in your head?
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to get as close to that as possible, and that's why like you never can get it quite there? Or do you kind of have like, well, this is kind of what I want the picture to be like, and if you just kind of trial and error until, oh, that looks good, I can move on? Like, how are you trying to get the picture in your head to the paper, or do you kind of let the picture that you're creating dictate where the picture goes?
Yeah, I definitely can see it in my head, but it's not like super clear. Like I don't know exactly what colors. I know I want it to look like a sunset, and so I, thought about what a sunset looked like. I looked at pictures of sunsets. I looked at pictures of people in sunsets, just to kind of get ideas of okay. And then I looked at those critically, like what colors are being used here, that kind of thing. And then you just got to play around with all these sketches until it looks right. So some of it is kind of feeling its way out.
Which are you a more of a sunset guy or a sunrise guy?
Sunset, love sunsets. I'm usually not
Okay,
awake
good,
for
yeah.
sunrises, so that's
Okay,
why.
yeah.
All right, so here's a problem.
Big factor
Here's
in that.
another problem with because I put the hair highlights on the wrong layer. I was messing with this layer and I turned the opacity down, which also affected the hair. And I want the hair to be more vibrant. The highlight, it should be probably more orange than that. So I'm gonna go back to my sketch here and see. Might pull something more like this, or something in between those two. First I'm gonna sketch, and then we'll see how I like it.
Oh, the sketch has highlights. Okay.
Hold on a second. Oh, I didn't put down the wrong layer. That's nice. I don't know why I thought I did. That's great. Look at that. So now, all I have to do is...
Professional artist right here.
Yeah, professional. Absolute work of a professional. I'm going to hide all these things, and then it shouldn't mess up too much if I just do one of these numbers. I can just tap these new colors in real quick, and then...
Okay, so you're tapping in new highlights.
Yeah, new highlights. There's going to be a couple places where I've got to do that, but I'm not even going to worry about that right now. Actually, I'm just going to go through quick and dirty and see, do I like this? All right, get our flats, get our background. Yeah, and let me put these back to 92 where it was. Yeah, I like that a lot better. It's brighter. Might need to even be more bright. I think even more bright.
You gotta kid that photo up. You gotta get it bright.
Yeah.
It's a Radiant Collapse joke there, people.
Wait. Say it again. Say it again.
I said you gotta kid that picture up. You gotta get it bright.
That's funny. I was like, wait. Someone just made a joke about my comic.
I did, yeah.
I need to hear this.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like how bright that looks. All right, let's go all in with that.
It is bright but still red.
Yeah.
Like it's you're not confused about is that coming from a red sun?
Yeah. Clickety.
Yeah, her eyes really look weird now without.
Yeah, that's what I'm
the red
telling you.
background.
You can't draw on top of a white background. Your colors will look bad.
Where'd you learn that trick, or did you just learn it from experience?
From experience, yeah. There was
okay.
I watched a video where a guy was talking about shading. I learned a lot of my shading stuff, and he was talking about that you should work on a gray background. So I kind of started with that, but then I was like, you know what? If the point of this is to get your eyes accustomed to it, it would be better to work on the top of the colors that you're going to be in. And so I started doing that, and then it looked way better. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Wonder if it should be brighter on her jacket now, but I think I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna go ahead and save that. I like that.
Oh, save Austin.
Yeah, I don't know last time I saved. Let's see. Okay, so
a lot going on here.
yeah, sorry, I'm switching up. I'm trying to find if there's anything that I've inked that I can color yet. I'm in the kind of the inking stage right now, so there's still a lot of pages that I haven't inked yet. Let me pull this up. Pull up my story.
So what do you mean by inking?
Oh, so yeah, so several stages of comic making. So I've got my storyboard. I'll actually pull this up again because this is my storyboard, which is very rough sketches. So this is just monstrously rough, just kind of getting an idea of this is the same page we're working on. That's convenient. So I want the bird here. I want the people kind of like this, but it's just these are just stick figures. I'm just basically showing you, what's going to be in that scene. Very rough. And then from there, I'll go in and actually start sketching. This is a bad example. Here's where I'm actually drawing it. So I'm refining that storyboard to more of a real sketch. And then I'll usually try to sleep on that. I don't want to ink at the same day that I sketched. This is just something I learned between chapters that sometimes if you give yourself time to come back to it, you might see some things that you didn't see before because you were just, so in the zone of like working on it. If you give yourself a break to look at something else, and come back a day later, then you can see it with fresh eyes and maybe see some errors that you couldn't see before because you were just too, in the zone for it.
Yeah.
So I'll usually come back later and refine it. And then for inking, I really have to get warmed up first. So it's got to be like, more of an extended drawing session where I have some time I'll usually warm up by refining some of the sketches, trying to fix some things. And then when it's ready for inking is when I'll actually put in the final clean lines, like this here, or like these lines for Roz. So this is the finished line art of the comic.
So inking is just like the term for this is the final draft of just the lines.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's like traditional comics, it's penciling would be what I do for sketching, where someone will just kind of rough in and then someone will actually come in with ink and ink the final lines. That's where they get that term from. It would actually be like pen and ink, and then the colors would come on and like color on top of the ink for the colors. I'm sure they're all done digitally now too, but that's how it used to be done.
Probably. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's ink. Because it's like these are the final ones. You can't, you can't undo this part.
I'm checking if there's something else that I can color that's in that same lighting environment, and I don't think there is. I don't have a lot inked right now because, all this stuff with Ken might work. This is a different lighting environment, but I might work on that. I could also work on this page. Hey, Smashy McPainbringer. Hello, hello.
That's a close-up?
Yes, so this is an extreme close-up here. I think I'm done with the inking here. I need to check something, though. She's only wearing one earring, which I don't know why I do these things to myself and make it difficult.
Did you?
I don't.
Should she be wearing two or none?
So she's wearing one. I only put it in one ear, but so I need to remember which ear it was on. So I've got to open up Radiant Collapse Chapter 1 and look for Roz and see she's not wearing one here, but she's wearing one here.
Was the left earring.
Terrible detail. So that's something where you in your new position would just be like, just make it both. Why are you doing this to yourself? And do I even like I liked how it would be convenient if she had two, because it kind of shows the like wind by the blowing, like it makes it more like dramatic. But
yeah,
she's not wearing one there, so yep. We'll see if this is ready to ink.
I don't know if that's a good position for me to be in, because I would just be like, yeah, it looks like a picture. It's good. Like, I don't have that critical eye. Should I put more detail in the zipper? And I'd be like, you should, it's fine. It's zipper. It's a zipper.
See, that's what I need. Like, you know what? It is actually just a zipper. That's
yeah. I need to be really good at that job or really bad.
Probably need some teeth here. Oh, that was good though. Don't want to do that. Sometimes I'm just used to the first thing I put down to be trash, so I'm almost always like Control Z it, and I was like, oh, that was actually good.
What's the redo? Is that Control?
It's in this one it's Control Shift Z.
Oh, okay.
Weird, but it's like it's right next to it on the keyboard, so it's actually convenient.
I got a Mac, so I have no idea what mine is.
Command.
I do know it's Control Z to like
just
undo.
Shift Command. You just switch out Command for any time I say Control.
Okay, but I have a Control button.
Yeah, I don't. That's one of the great mysteries of our time. I don't.
It works for me. I am so bad at technology, so getting a Mac was a good choice because I'm like, oh, this does a lot of stuff that I don't know how to do for me.
That is true. Macs are very user friendly.
Yeah, and I'm an awful user, so
that it was like that with phones. I've always had an iPhone ever since I started having a smartphone, and I recently went
Yeah.
Android, and it was the same thing. It's like I didn't realize how much Apple just did for you that now I have to like figure out how to like set up myself. Like you could do everything on an Android that you could do on an Apple, but they don't do it for you. You gotta figure it out, and you gotta find the
Yeah.
app, and like everything's just easy and ready to go on the Apple.
Yeah, that's what I want. I'm like, here, take a big pile of my money, but just make it do the thing. It's ready to go, and it does. And
Yep.
I know that some people are like, no, I want complete control, and that's great. Go for it. But I'm just like, no, just let me text and make phone calls and look
Yeah.
up stuff quick and easy. If you had to, you're an artist. Do you have to go back and forth and work between Microsoft and Apple, or is it all one
Oh,
ecosystem
I
for you?
have gotten so okay, so I'll get on my little like PC
Oh boy.
soapbox for a minute.
Oh, here we go.
A lot of people like associate Macs with graphic design, and a lot of firms do use them, but really all you need is a box that runs Adobe programs, whether it be PC or Apple, and PCs cost a lot less. So that is how I've been rolling for a long time, and I've been fortunate enough that both of my jobs that are graphic design that I've had have been PC environments, and so I haven't had to like train myself on different shortcuts and stuff. So that's been very convenient.
Very nice.
But I would do that in college. Like we would have Macs in the lab, and I'd have to like I'd hit the wrong button all the time when I'm trying to hit like when I'm used to like on my personal laptop having to hit like Control Z, and then in the lab having to hit Command Z, and so you get used to it. But it is like a bit of you press the wrong button for a while.
I didn't learn either, so I was just like, okay. So here's I got another in the moment question. So Roz's hair is going behind her eyelash. Is that a
Yeah,
can
so
you fix that? What's going on with that?
that's an anime
What's up with
convention
that?
where like
Mhm.
you can see the eyelashes through the hair, and I've just kept that. So yeah,
Okay,
I
like
don't know
I'm
why
not
they
saying
do
you got to
that. I
change it.
think it's just to be able to have more hair, but still see like what their eyes are doing. So I've just kind of kept that convention when it's
Yeah,
convenient to do so.
I know that like eyes are you want to see the eyes are important, but
Yeah, and I think that's why they do that. I'm trying to
like
conform as
I've
much
watched a lot
as.
of anime. It's not breaking my brain, but I was just like, oh yeah, he's doing that thing. I wonder why.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
thought it was
That's.
on a different layer or something.
Yep, there's one of the things I tried. I did make it on a different layer. I hope I did. Yep, just in case I need to like change any of that. I didn't want to burn that into the lines. But we'll call this eyelashes. No, we won't. Now we'll call it
Yeah,
eyelashes.
no, we will not.
What is this? These are lines.
It took me a while to get used to the whole like eyes and eyelashes in front of the hair, but now unless I'm looking at it for a while, like this picture, I don't even think about it.
All right, so now, like we were talking about before, how once you've established a lighting environment, you can just stick with it. That's what we're going to do right here. I'm going to drop this in here just so I can grab a color. Move it up top. So it's
Oh
not
Lord,
hidden
would
by
you
that panel.
just dropped a painting?
Yep, so I just
drop
dropped
something
a
inside of it?
JPEG from chapter 1. And I'm going to pull this color from Roz. Now, again, back to me putting too much detail into things. I'm thinking, oh, she's in an environment where there's fire and all that kind of stuff, and so it's actually going to probably be a little bit different. So we might adjust that a little bit. Find my layer. There we go. All right, so I think for the background here, I'm just going to do, so like I said, we got to do our background first. I'm going to drop this color here.
Oop.
And I think I'm just going to do kind of a reddish black. And since I want to color this whole thing, what I can do is make a selection here. I can turn off my refer to other layers, and then it'll just paint everything. I think I want to go darker.
Ooh,
And I might just go black.
Oh, Gretschhammer throwing up the rock sign.
Hey, Grudge Hammer, thanks for dropping by.
I wonder if Grudge Hammer knows what all of the all the buttons and stuff you're working with do, because I have no idea.
He probably does.
I've no.
Oh, gotta turn this back on.
Does this button make it blue? I don't know.
I still don't know if I want. I think I do though, but her skin tone might be too light for a pure black background. But we're gonna like roll with it for right now, and we'll just start with these colors that we already have, and we'll see if we need to make adjustments to them later.
Richard wants to know: were you at Bacon Day when he fell?
Oh no, I was at Bacon Day, but I didn't see you fall. Oh no. I also didn't see you for a long time, so you might have fallen while I was there, and I may have missed it. Oh, you see how this isn't working? See how it's coloring like this whole thing? It's because I have a gap, I think, right here.
Just that one tiny gap does it?
Any gap will do it. Deselect this so those are gone. And it might just be that this line is too small to get caught. It also may be somewhere else. It may be, let me close that and see if that's the reason. Should have dropped this color.
Nope, different picture.
Yeah, see? That fixed. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer though. That fixed it. That was it.
So could you connect those lines, color it, and then unconnect the lines, or is it like, well, it's got to be connected now?
I mean, you could unconnect the lines, but you don't need to, because you want them. If there's something that's, I don't, you like wouldn't need to do that, because if it needs to be closed off, like it should be closed off with line.
There you go.
I'm getting rid of the hair that's like overlapping this. This is like a, I don't know what you call it, because I'm not a girl. The hair.
Just the hairpin.
Yeah, hairpin. There we go.
Yeah.
Some fashion accessory.
It's not a hair tie. I mean, they're on a different planet. They can call them whatever they want.
Yeah, that's true. And that is also hair. What did I see Grudge has a response about falling. What'd he say?
He tried to lean on a tree and missed.
I've done where I've tried to like open a door, like I tried to keep walking and open a door, but like my hand fumbles the knob and it doesn't open the door, and I like slam my shoulder into it. I do that often.
I'll do that. I've done it once or twice at work where we have like a push open door, and I'll miss the push bar and just like slam into the door. And so then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw my whole body against the door, because then I eventually do hit the push bar. I'm like, okay, this works, but I kind of just threw myself into it.
Yep.
Gritchhammer says that people told him that he got angry at the ground afterwards. He said, I can't believe you've done this to me.
As rightly you should.
I know, right?
Alright, let's see how this is looking. I can see it. The hair is going to be kind of dark. I've got to throw some like highlights on there to differentiate that.
Yeah, he hadn't eaten enough food, so the drunkenness came out. Yeah, just more bacon. That's what I'm hearing from the story.
Yeah, that was your solution right there.
Eat more bacon.
Bacon.
Need some protein.
Dude, did you eat the sandwiches that Shannon made? Those were so good. Shannon made these grilled cheese that had like bacon weave, and like 2 different sliced cheeses, and then pimento cheese and QP mayonnaise on like the outside to make it crispy, which I had never heard of, but it was great.
Youpie mayo.
Oh, and I've got a setting here. I made this brush that has a stabilization. That's another feature that I really like about Clip Studio Paint, is that it can kind of, I equate it to like, it kind of like slows down time, and it just like, it makes your hand motion slower and like more smooth, and so it's easier to make like smooth lines, so they don't look like all wobbly. It looks more like a fluid curve.
Oh, okay. So it's slow. It doesn't slow your hand down, but it slows down like
It just
when
it
the line is
feels like
drawn.
it does, like because
Yeah.
like it makes the line appear slower. It's weird, but I really like it. Helps me make
He doesn't
lines
remember it. Okay.
without actually having a steady hand. All these
Do you have a fairly steady hand, or you?
no, it's terrible.
Okay. Oh, good.
all these
An
like
artist.
technology is probably not making me a better artist, but it's making it easier to do stuff. I always put the pupil on a different layer too, and I forget why, but I think it has to do with the eye coloring step, which we skipped on the last one. So I might go back to that other page and do the eye thing, because it's really really fun. It's a quick step that is really rewarding.
How many layers can you have?
Oh, there's no limit, and I push that.
Oh, oh God. Oh Lord. Okay.
Yeah, I'll the opening scene of A Radiant Collapse Chapter 1, it was over 100 layers.
And another layer, and another layer.
All right, so what I do for this, so hopefully I set it up properly. I don't even know where my, oh, here we go. There's my eye background layer. That has to be above this, but the eye color has to be, yeah, I think this is right. So this is
What's
my eye
what's the
highlight.
trick you're about to do?
So this is to make like the, like, kind of like the dimension on the eyes. It's what makes them look cool. So basically, we're doing like a highlight on the bottom of the eyes, basically. So what I do is I sample the base color of the eye, and then for the bottom one, I make it lighter and less saturated. It's been a while since I've done this. I set this to add glow blending mode, I think, and then I just kind of click a circle there, and you see since the eye background is on top of it, it like automatically crops that out for me. So all I have to do is erase here really easily, and it makes it easy. So
Oh, very nice.
I'm going to, I think, tone that down a little bit. It's a bit much. It's not really working. I think I might adjust the color. Make it like, I have to be careful with the add glow blending mode, because when I printed the first chapter, everything that I had set like that, it didn't print very well. So I have to be careful how I use that.
Oh yeah, it's subtle.
That one might be, oh, there we go. I was like, it's too subtle. It's because I didn't change that mode back on.
Is that like a signature look that you like with eyes that you do, or did you learn that anywhere?
So this is I did a lot of eye research, and I wanted to find something that was like easy and quick to do. What is going on here? Found some stuff. See this? Oh, I bet I have a sketch on somewhere. There we go.
I found some more stuff.
Yep. Oh, this is the stuff I put on the wrong layer.
Still not getting it. Oh, oh.
This looks really like dirty and unclean.
Okay.
You probably can't see.
I
at all.
cannot. No, I can't tell. Yeah.
What is going on here?
Don't hire me for that.
What have I got going on here? Why is it looking different? Oh, yeah, because that's different. That's annoying. So my opacity was different. So when I sampled the color, it was sampling a different color because it was sampling the opacity change. All right, there we go. So and then last thing, the eye shine, which is just the catch light is the technical term for it. I learned that because I'm taking a bunch of photography courses for my job. And this is the only thing I use pure white for. Boop. Yep. It needs to be on top of all the lines.
Top layer.
Top layer. And right there. Just makes people look alive by having
there you go.
something reflect in their eye like that. There we go. And that's how I do eyes. It's pretty simple, easy to replicate, and it looks pretty good. So I don't want to spend like crazy amount of time on eyes unless I've got like a really close-up beauty shot. I might do something a little more, but mainly I'm gonna stick to that.
Yeah. So speaking of designing eyes and stuff, so you've got a bunch of characters, you got some more you got coming. Do you have any kind of process for creating new characters?
So there's the people that are in the story are, I think I'm in the wrong dang layer. The people that are in the story are in the story. But I guess elaborate on your question more.
Well, just like how I need a character to pop up here. How do you decide, all right, this character is going to be a guy or a girl, he's going to be tall or short, she's going to be,
You're talking about extras
wild
or main characters?
Either one.
So extras, it's more like, what's the role? And I guess that could be for main characters too, but there's a lot more that goes into a main character. But for side characters, it's like, okay, what is the purpose of this character? Like, what role do they need to fulfill? And what kind of what attributes would help that the most? Like, say I've got two like soldier type people that are with Roz in that scene that we were just coloring. So I want them to look military. I want them to look rough. So they're like muscular. That kind of thing. I've got a scene later that has a bunch of politicians. I made them older, did a mixture of males and females there, professional looking, and then, so it's just like, what's their role? What kind of person seems believable for that? But for main characters, I do like a whole like character design thing for them. That's where the color schemes come into play.
Color schemes.
Yeah, like character colors, like costume design is a lot more important with main characters. I'll try to make sure they look cool. Like extras, not so much. I can just look up an outfit and like draw that, or make something up. But yeah, a lot more goes into like a main characters. I'm gonna have to keep drawing them for a while, so I want it to be something that I can repeat, but also something that looks good and stands out. That's one thing, is you don't want your extras to stand out. Like, they don't need to look too cool. They need to look really normal and kind of forgettable, because you want them to be forgettable.
You go the other way with that anime convention of like everyone's a cookie cutter character, but like the main ones.
Yeah, the man and the guy with blue hair is the
Yeah, that blue spiky hair, and
yeah.
everyone else has like brown, matted down, short hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, gee, I wonder who the MCs are.
Yep. All right. So
Well, how do you know
now,
when you need a new character? Like, the story can probably dictate some of that, but how do you have any kind of sense of like, all right, I need to make a new side character for this, or like, nah, I'll just have this other character do it.
yeah, that's tough. That's one of the like hardest things I've heard. Like writing advice that like you want as few characters as possible to carry out your story, because the more characters there are, the more complicated it gets. Like all that kind of stuff. So I've had this story in my head for a long time, so I know the characters that are in it. They've changed a lot. Some of them have changed genders. Some of them have become people that were animals, and yeah. So they've essentially fulfilled the same role and been the same person, but they've changed who they are, what they look like, or what their personality is. Roz has changed dramatically. Ken's changed dramatically. Everyone's changed a good bit since like the original draft.
Yeah. Anybody not changed a lot? Is anybody like, well, I think I nailed that right off the bat.
Yeah, Mr. B is pretty. I nailed him the first time, so he's well.
Didn't nail the first time, but
he
like
gets a
who
little
went
more
through the list?
dimension. But his core of who he is has been the same, but he gets like I've fleshed out his like backstory and motivations a little more.
But you had the idea of like, this is what he'll kind of look like.
Oh, his looks.
You
His looks
didn't
pretty
change
much
it
didn't
much.
change either. He was wearing a hat before that was kind of stupid, and I got rid of that. He looks a lot more badass with just his hair, and his coat was similar, but I changed it a little bit and added more detail. But he's probably the most unchanged of all the characters. I'm not sure. Like this, I think she's gonna be lit from the front, but I really need some kind of like edge lighting between the hair and the background. I might just have to fake that with like, I've seen people do this before where they have like some kind of a color and they just kind of like do like this.
What's edge lighting? What's that?
Yeah, but it looks kind of stupid.
Oh, it's like a little glow around her or
Yeah.
something.
I don't really like that. The hard part is that I've got to like get these points. There's no easy way to do that.
Yeah, come on, technology.
Yeah.
Pick up the pace.
Probably just gonna have to do this, like really overdo it, and then come back and I'm gonna gotta make this white or I'm gonna completely forget it's here.
Doesn't look bad.
I've probably gotta look up some reference of how this is done to see like what it looks like when it's done properly.
Got a nice glow.
Well, working title, we'll leave that. Alright. Now, let's see. I think that was my... I didn't do a shadow on this one. But I think I'm going to need a little bit... Alright, let's do the other method this time. So I'm going to show the other method. So we're going to set this to screen. And then we're going to pick, like, a medium gray, but I'm going to make it a little warmer because there's a fire in front of her. And we're going to paint this in and see what this looks like. So see how it changes when it goes from her skin to her hair? So it's like auto mode. It automatically adjusts for what color it's on. Now this is too bright, so we're going to bring it down, but see how it kind of does the work for you. And that saves a lot of time.
If you kind of know where the light's going to be, you can just like brush it out real quick.
Mm-hmm. Look at my wrong monitor. This one in front of me is color corrected, and this one's just like a little dark. And so, but this is my pressure sensitive one where I can, so I have to draw here, but look over here.
Oh, that's confusing.
Yeah. That's pretty close. Let's draw that in. Alright, so we're gonna name this layer.
Now the other method.
This is where, where exactly do these lines go? Let's get rid of all of that. Oh, turn this back to normal so we can do that.
It's just experience to be like, all right, here's where the light should fall on her.
Yeah, and I'm not even really good at it. I have a mannequin somewhere, and I'll actually physically shine a light on that to see where it contours, and that helps. You know, I'm about to break out that mannequin if I've got it handy. There we go. So I've got a male and a female one of these.
Here we go.
You can see it there. And so
going analog.
Yeah. So I've got a light over here. So it's in front of her, or I could use my cell phone. Shine it in front of her, so probably up. So yeah, she's got shadow like that. So it's kind of a curved thing like that. So it's kind of like that. This is blowing my mind because I'm painting with a dark color, but it's actually going to turn light once you put the lighting effect on. So I'm like confusing myself because I'm like, wait, I'm making it darker. I'm not doing shadows. I'm doing highlights.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, see? And now I've got to do the hair. It's the opposite of what we were doing before. Actually, also, I need to get rid of some of it here because her hair casts a shadow. Let's bump our stabilization up. Hair casts a shadow here. And then that.
There you go. Oh, nice shadow.
I see that's that stabilization lets me do that nice smooth line. And that's already shadow, so that's good. We actually want it to this hair here in front of her eye. We'll shade that. And now like her nostril maybe a little bit above the nose.
A little on her nose. Very rounded nose.
Yeah, she has kind of a rounded nose.
They all kind of do. It must be a thing.
I like button noses, so that's just me drawing the things that I want.
Yeah, you could do that. It's your thing.
Yep.
I draw what I want.
That's the Dolly Parton fighting
Fighting Venom, yeah. Awesome. How do you speaking of like drawing what you want, how do you determine, I guess, like, not draw, this would be drawing what you want, but how do you determine, like, okay, Roz is standing up, so her arms need to be this long, her legs need to be this long. Like, how do you determine that so you're not drawing like a little Oompa Loompa or a Slender Man? Like, how do you know like the proportions of the characters?
Yeah, so that's learning anatomy, which is super fun. You just you can learn little tricks. There's a guy I like on YouTube called Robert Marzullo, Ram Studio Comics. I've taken a couple of his courses. He's really good
Robert.
at, like, yeah, and also he's named Robert, so you can trust everything that he says. But yeah, he's a comic artist, and so his anatomy is like specific for comics, because we're not drawing like completely faithful. You know, we have some distortions that are in the medium, so his proportions are like with that in mind. So it's like, you know, in comics, you know, how can we break the human body into shapes to make it easier? So, you know, he shows you how to break like the rib cage into a shape, the torso, like the shoulders, like just, you can rough in these shapes, and it's a lot easier to manipulate those shapes that are when you're moving the body. Like, okay, I'll just make this triangle more like this, you know, or whatever, and it's easier to make it accurate. So, so yeah, his courses are really good. And yeah, it's just practice and study of like muscles and bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Like, you got a mannequin, I assume that helps too, but practice is probably good.
More than that, I'll look up like images on Pinterest. I've got like a whole Pinterest board of anatomy and stuff, and just like of people. You know, anytime you can find a reference, your art's going to be way better than if you just tried to draw it in your mind. Like, if you're drawing someone jumping off a diving board, look up a picture of someone jumping off a diving board and use it as reference. It's going to make your end picture way better than if you just tried to like figure it out in your mind. There's sometimes you can't do that, and you've just got to rely on what you've learned of anatomy, and you know, that's just the way it is. But yeah, anytime you can use a picture, it's way better.
Yeah. So speaking of practice and putting in the work, here's another goofy question. If you could transfer your art talent to another talent, what would it be?
Oh no, I don't think I would. I love art. If I could transfer any other talent to make my art better, I might do that.
Well, okay, no, like all of the time and skill you've learned to be an artist, if you could like bank that and put it to another skill, you wouldn't
do you mean
trade it?
But I would lose my art skill to do that?
Well, just for the sake of question, let's say no.
Okay, so I could,
let's say like
I could be as
you have
good,
equal you could be as good at this other skill as you are at art. So what would that be?
That's a tough question. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what do I want to get better at that's not art.
Or if you're just like, well, this would be helpful to know.
Helpful.
I don't know. You've answered the question how you want.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like marketing, as that's like
okay.
It's the problem I run into a lot is just like how can I make people aware of this? I'm like terrible at elevator pitches. I'm terrible at like speaking.
Stonks.
Yeah.
Stonks.
Stonks. Yeah, that'd be good too.
Yeah, you would need to be an artist then, yeah. Because I think about that, because I'm like, I'm a drummer. If I could trade in what I know on drums for another instrument, it would probably be piano.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't. I'm just like, people are like, well, you could learn piano. I'm like, no. There's enough room for one instrument in my brain.
Yeah, right.
So we're not doing that. So I didn't know if you had something like that. Where you're like, oh, well, what about like a different art? Like you could trade your
Okay,
drawing for
yeah. So
sculpting or something.
yeah, so it'd be watercolor because watercolors I think are beautiful. I cannot do them. I do not have the patience for it. I'm bad at them. So yeah, that would be the one that I would choose.
Watercolor, okay.
And again, I drew on the wrong layer. Find out which one it was. Ew, the line layer. Yeah, I love watercolors. Cannot do them.
Me neither.
This lighting is tougher than I thought.
Give you some fits.
I think I did too.
I can offer no help on this.
What now?
I can offer no help on this. I'm like, yep, there's a light in front of her. Okay. Nothing. I got nothing.
I think I'm like mentally having to switch gears because I did like a backlighting last time, and now she's being front lit, and that's confusing me. I think I'm drawing it like she's still backlit.
You can't just do the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do, but my brain's confused. I think this is correct, but this one's wrong. I need to like do that and then get rid of that. It's one of those detail moments where you're putting the shadow under the hair clip, really.
Oh, there you go. Should the shadow go under it? Should it go on top of it? I don't know. Is that one of those trial and error things?
Yeah. Oh, shading in 3 dimensions. That I would transfer my skill there. Because this is
just for this moment.
This. Yeah, for moments like this. A moment like this.
Yeah, I can't even follow along because like you drew a line and I'm like, oh yeah, that line should go there. But I had before you drew it, I wasn't like there should be a line there. Like, oh, everything looks good, and you drew a line, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that looks better, and now I can't imagine it without that line.
Yep.
I cannot handle that.
It's like that for me too.
Thank God you got that like that undo button. That Control Z is doing a lot of work, a lot of heavy lifting. I use when I'm making stuff on my computer, I use that a lot. Whoop, nope, undo that. Has Control Z always been there?
Yeah.
Like I just think back to like in college if I was typing or something, or like I would just be like, crap, let me undo that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well I didn't know about it until a couple years ago.
It definitely went that far.
Okay. That's a new one for me.
Yeah, that'll change your life a little bit. Okay. Your hair's looking really flat. and I don't know the solution for that.
Oh, dang it. I was better. Well, how do you fix that, Robert?
Yeah.
Oh, you do. Okay.
That's a great question, Michael Butts.
Yeah.
And we'll find
I
out the
don't.
answer next year when I learn how to
Oh,
do
okay.
that.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
But anyone in the chat knows, like Robert knows.
Yeah, anyone in the chat. Can anyone in the chat tell me what the next correct move is, and I'll let you know if you're right. Because you're gonna tell me the right thing to do, and I'm gonna pretend like I knew all along.
Oh, so Grudgehammer says Control Z came out in 1992 on Windows, and it was taken from the Mac originally.
Oh, interesting.
So wait, it came out on Windows, but it was taken from Mac. So who
They
did Mac have it first?
they did a lot of stealing back then, like Mac and Windows in the early like PC days. They were ripping all kinds of stuff from each other.
Doesn't Apple do that a lot too? Like they'd just be like, "Oh, this is a good idea. We're going to take that."
Yeah.
Mac had it first. Okay. I feel like now it's gone the other way. Like Mac has to take stuff from other people, or they at least wait till somebody else gets it really close and then they innovate a little bit.
They let other people like have the ideas and then they just make it better.
Yeah. The Thomas Edison of to everyone else's Tesla. Yeah. Backstopping and innovated when Jobs died.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't really done anything crazy since then. Jobs was a visionary.
Gotta be crazy.
I need a lighting reference. Or
Yep,
pull
you're gonna
up
get
my best friend
okay.
Pinterest, where I've already saved some of these. Some of my pins
Fire
might-
blowing up in eyes.
Some of my pins are not safe for work, so you've been warned. But they're not that bad because it's Pinterest. But anatomy is anatomy. And I'm looking for this.
Well, there it is.
Let's see. I need lighting above you, so kind of like this. This image is super low res, which is helpful. There, we're gonna put this up here. Let me open up my cell shading. I've got a cell shading board.
You got a board for it all, huh?
Yep. Oh, come on. Why is this so small? Why are they not in alphabetical order?
This is your thing, man.
Dear Pinterest, if you're in the chat right now, why aren't they on alphabetical order? There it is. So these are pins that I've saved of people that are doing cell shading, which is the lighting style I'm doing. So it's helpful to see where
What's
they choose
the-
to put those lines.
What are some of the you're doing cell shading? What's the difference between that and like other stuff?
Okay, so cell shading, like see, like this one right here, all these ones down here are cell shaded, where there's a hard line between the shadow and the highlight, as opposed to something that's like realistic like this, where it's got like a soft,
Okay.
a soft like blur, or in real life we're not cell shaded.
fade.
We've got like subtle gradations between light and dark. In
Yeah.
Cell shading, it's a harsh line, and so that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I don't have the exact thing I'm looking for, so this is one of those situations where you just have to figure it out.
You're gonna wing it.
Yeah, we're gonna wing it. We only actually got 10 minutes left in the stream, so I think I'm gonna keep working on this, and we'll see if we can make a breakthrough. So the light's coming up from above her like this, so anything up here definitely needs to be in light. Yep. In light.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that looks good.
This angle here is wrong, but other than that, we're getting closer. Alright, so I'm going to fill in some shadow again here. Clickety clickety. Alright, so now I'm going to, since we're like flooding the whole thing with light, I'm going to bring some of these back into shadow just to give the hair some dimension. And we're going to see how that works out for us. Not here.
There, no.
Because that's in the foreground, it should be lit up all the time, which I think is what's going on wrong here. There's no reason that would be shading. It's a flat surface that's getting shine directly on it. This hair is curving, so you would get some shadow at some point, which is what we're trying to show. I think I'm gonna do a little bit here, maybe?
Again, I'm like, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
I saw on your Instagram at radiocollapse.com that you played a board game recently. What's going on with that?
Yes, so we got the Full Metal Alchemist board game, and we played it last night for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. It was very complicated, but once you play around, it's like, it's not actually that bad. You're like, oh, I actually get it. It's just kind of a lot of rules, but it's not really that complicated. It's a cooperative board game, and for those of you that have seen Full Metal Alchemist, you're working together to try to prevent the Promised Day invasion that's at the climax of the series. It's really fun. You're getting overrun by like mannequin soldiers. You have to fight homunculi, and you can do alchemy. And the way they did the alchemy was really cool because you've got like a hand of cards. And you can use the cards for attacks, any of them, but some of them have like an alchemy symbol on it, on half the card, and it has to match up with a card that has the alchemy symbol on the other half, so like it makes like a whole thing. And so if you don't have the right ones, like if you've got two left side ones instead of a left and a right, you can't do it. But if you get the right cards, then they come together, and so it's like kind of like you putting your hands together and making a transmutation circle when you put those two cards down together. And because it's kind of hard to get the right combinations, you can't do it very often. But when you do, it's like a super overpowered attack, so you feel awesome.
Nice.
And everyone's alchemy is different. Like you can play as Al, Ed, Mustang, and then some characters that don't use alchemy. But everyone's alchemy has like a different kind of pattern to the attack, so it feels different.
Do you like Full Metal?
Yeah, I like this. I think that's at least close. Close for now.
Got the glow back there. Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to give her a little shadow in her eye. And I might, this is kind of a close-up, I might actually give her a little more detail in the eye. Might actually also do a shadow layer. So we could do the same thing. So like how we were doing this technique, we were doing highlight with screen. We can do cell shading, shadow with a multiply layer. So same thing, choose a neutral gray, and then this becomes shadow. And then
Her eye.
if you want it to be less extreme, you choose a lighter color. And so I have to make sure that I'm not overlapping the other one. You know what? I'm just gonna get rid of it on this layer so I don't have to worry about it.
New layer.
And I'll just do it all on the... We'll do it all on this layer. All right, back to this.
There you go.
Get rid of that overlap there. I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like the arch. It needs to be more extreme because her eyes are opened really wide. And so this arch of the shadow needs to be really arched as well. So that it looks like she's opening her eyes really wide.
It's got to be maddening to just put up like spending 10 minutes on that eye, looking at it and be like, no, I don't like it.
Yeah, that's why it's important to work quickly when you're trying to figure something out and not get bogged down in the details, because you might just need to erase everything. All right, let's do our eye color, because that's always fun to do.
Oh yeah, your little eye color trick.
Put the eye-ness on the wrong layer.
It's really zooming in now.
What was that?
So we're really zooming in now.
Yeah. So that was on the wrong layer. I want to make sure I don't erase any of the thing that was supposed to be there. All right. I think it could be on the flat. I kind of like how bright it is here because it makes it look more dramatic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, she's looking at fire.
Yeah. Let's do our eye shine. Only thing I use pure white for. I take that back. I'll also use pure white if there's like something really bright, something really bright shining. I'll use that too. Should be on this side.
So where do you know to? How do you know where to put the eye shine?
So, I usually either overlap the edge of the eye on the right or the left side, because if you put it like out here by itself, it just doesn't have that three-dimensionality look. It looks better if it's overlapping the line or the color. But really, like, the eye is a three-dimensional shape, and that's like on the surface somewhere on there. It depends on the... Actually, interesting fact, the shape of the catch light in real life changes shape with the shape of the light. So we're used to like the sun and things like that are circular, and so that's why we're used to seeing it be that color. But if you're in a studio and they're using like a square softbox or something, the catch light will be a square. If they're using a ring light, it'll be a ring. So look at yourself in the mirror based on what kind of lights you have, and you can see that.
Can't unsee it now.
Yep. All right, we got a few more minutes. I'm gonna put some makeup on her. So this is really subtle, like I was saying before. I like to give her a little bit of girliness in her like tomboyness. And so I just really like lightly dust on some blush. You can't really even see it, and that's the way it needs to be. That's a little too much. That's good.
Makeup.
And then I'll do a little color to her lips too, just to give a little bit of femininity there. Yeah. And I'll probably take a hard-edged eraser. I did a soft brush, so it was kind of just blends in, but I'm going to take a hard-edged eraser and clean up anything that leaked below that line.
Oh, from the brushing.
What was that?
From the brushing.
Yeah. So the soft brush just kind of gives a diffused leak out, and then so I'm just like cleaning up with the hard edge so it stops immediately at that line, even though it's soft everywhere else. Oh, here's my auto save reminding me to save.
Good call. Yep, save. Ooh.
And with that, it is 9. So that concludes our first live stream of 2021 and our 2021, our
wow.
2023. Lost a year there. Woo. But thank you guys for joining me. We got some good. I'll review what we did. Hold on, I'm seeing this and it's bothering me. Got to do this before I forget. This here, this is leaking. Get rid
2 hours later.
Okay, there we go. Oh dear, there's all kinds of stuff here. What? Was I drunk when I was doing this? Where all this other stuff come from?
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna be here another hour.
Yeah, so we thought we were ending, but now I can't unsee this stuff, so I'm fixing it. Why'd this look fine before? This looks so bad.
Now that were you zoomed out?
I was zoomed out, so I was zoomed out. And I might be too zoomed in right now, but better to have it be clean than dirty. Trying to remember which, am I painting or erasing the the color?
I have no idea.
Yep, me either.
As long as it works, right?
Yep.
That uneven shadow there.
Yeah, I'm trying this like curve thing because it's like 2 different locks of hair. Don't know if it's really working or not. I might go all in with that and do something like that.
There you go. See how far down the rabbit hole Robert goes.
What was that?
See how far down the rabbit hole you go.
Yeah. How far I'm stuck fixing these details. Robert, it's midnight. You you have work tomorrow. What? How long have I been here? Nope. See, wild guess of do I need to erase or draw? Nope. So you're usually drawing the dark color, but I'm erasing the dark color here, so. Stay like that. Okay. Nice. Okay, great. That's a lot better. Nope.
Oh, found some at the top.
Yep. Go. Nope. Did it again. There we go.
Nope. Wait, nope.
All right. Awesome. So that is
Much better.
a lot better. All right. So now we're pretty satisfied with that. We're gonna save. But again, thank you guys for joining me. Happy to see people came out for the first stream. I wasn't sure if anyone was going to show up, so that really means a lot to me, you guys. Yeah, so we'll be doing this every Monday from 7 to 9. Love to see you guys on here again if you want to. And we'll be doing this every Monday. Why don't you give us your pitch?
Grudge Hammer's doing his wacky dance there. That wacky dance that Grudge Hammer's doing. Yeah, so I am 1/3 of a gaming channel called Riff Arcade. We are a retro-leaning channel. Myself, Josh, and Spence. Every Monday and Wednesday, we do videos. We're all playing the games together. I think right now we just did a video for Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which does technically count as a retro game now. And we're actually closing in on our 500th video, which is crazy to think of. I know. But if you want to interact with us on Wednesdays, I play games very poorly. You could come out and harass me and enjoy a nice chill stream of somebody who struggles really hard to play games that you probably beat very easily. And on Thursdays, all of us get together and we'll stream a bunch of games and hang out. Both of those start at 8 o'clock. But if you want to think a little bit deeper, check out our playlist called a spinoff show called Let's Play-Doh. We just released an episode on Batman Arkham City, and it's very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I love those Let's Play
Those are all the plugs.
and one of them just went viral, so the congrats for that, as it is well deserved.
Yeah, that one is that's a Fallout video. If you want to find out the philosophy of the Fallout 4, check that video out. But that was like the second or third video I ever made, so that one's still. I watched that and I'm like, oh, this is rough around the edges, but they have gotten way better. If I do say so myself.
All right, well, we are gonna raid. We're gonna raid Tofu Buns here. It looks like this person is doing some anime kind of art, so it's kind of jiving with what we're doing here. So we're gonna try to do that. I hope I remember how to raid correctly. We're gonna see if this works. All right, cool. We're gonna raid on over there, and thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll see you next Monday.